We are still getting quite a lot of duplicity from the council. They're now currently stating that they've never seen the asbestos certificates. It was in a cabinet meeting when questions were asked by other councillors to David Shepherd and Bev Addy, and they denied having seen any asbestos certificates. We know that that's a fib. We know that's not completely right. I supplied 2 Amosite asbestos certificates directly to my local councillors, Baroness Kath Pinnock, Andrew, John Lawson, and they in turn actually did email the chief executive with those copies. Now, one of them was taken from Clare Road and the other one was taken from 3 streets away. So when they say that they've not seen them, that's not strictly correct. And David Shepherd basically went on record on YouTube to say that because it's an urban area, there would be a base foundation. I'm not so sure that he realised I know the difference between trace and positive. So up to press, we have 7 certificates. Only one of those certificates is a trace, and it's quite clearly marked on the certificate, trace. The rest, the other 6, are positives. It's really difficult for an area that's not particularly affluent to stop the damage from happening. It's really, really easy in today's society to sue them once they've hurt you, okay? It would be easier for us to just be quiet, say nothing, and end up with health implications or whatever else, and for them to just claim off their insurance, you know, like, here's a couple of 100,000 or whatever, just go away. Why is it so hard to stop them from causing the damage in the first place when you know fine well that they are causing you damage? The problem being is that I've been getting expert advice. I call him Mr. Asbestos, and with him there's Mr. Remediation. I can't I don't want to reveal my source, but he's very, very high up. Now, when a chap that's very high up in asbestos world tells you that he's been working in the industry since 1987 and he doesn't downplay the risks of asbestos, but at least that would give us 15 to 20 years. Some people carry on for like 30 years, 40 years, but the other contaminants on that site, such as arsenic, lead, VOCs, he's made me delve more into them, and I've realised that actually we're far greater risk than just asbestos. Asbestos is a walk in the park. When you look at other contaminated sites in the country, similar ones, they've had dust hoarding, they've had fixed air monitoring, they've had soil mounds covered, not just left uncovered to blow around the neighbourhood. We've had none of that. We have literally got a chain link fence with a hairnet. It's absolutely unbelievable. And the council are complicit. Money doesn't mean zilch if you're sick and you're dead. What good is that? Plus the fact as well, it doesn't hurt them, does it? They've got insurance for that type of stuff. So yeah, exactly. This isn't about money. It's about doing it properly. On the 14th, there's a public meeting. All the residents, the committee, they'll be talking at the public meeting. What we want to actually put across, we don't want to scare people, but we've got to make people aware that this is actually dangerous. People send their children to school by the side of that site. I know it's only short-term exposure, but we've had positive asbestos. There's a high likelihood that there's arsenic. and other contaminants in the dust. The streets are still dirty. The streets are still awash with contaminants. You know, we've got sandy coloured substance all over residential streets, which is easy to get airborne when you're walking across it. So we don't want people to be breathing that in. And there's going to be kids with existing conditions, COPD, asthma, and it's only going to make it worse. So that's what we want. We want to make people aware of the dangers that the council are actually putting us in. So we've got a petition and we want as many signatures as possible on that. We need our site to be a classic example of how not to remediate a site. So we know that vital protections that wouldn't have been put in place had they classified the land correctly, but they would have mitigated some of what we've suffered. There was an assessment done that recommended a full table of, it was called Table 17, but it did list things like solid dust protection, monitoring, cleaning of vehicles, streets, sills, regular inspections of residential properties nearby. And it actually did say that provided those measures were implemented, then the risks would be negligible. And yeah, looking through it, we would have had protection from gases, from dust. We'd have had more protections than what we've actually got now. But then the council came back and told me it was a pick and mix. And then the council just basically let the contractor choose whatever was the cheapest on that pick and mix. See, we're angry, obviously, but we want this to be held as an example of how not to remediate a site, because the government have got very, very, very ambitious house building targets. And I understand that. Kirklees Council's target has doubled. They've always put out roughly around about 1,000 homes per year, and their target from our wonderful government is 1,845. I think actually that's probably adding to their determination to just get this done, no matter what the cost, to either existing residents or indeed their reputation. So yeah, there's a number of factors. But if brownfield sites are going to be used, and I prefer brownfield sites to be used, then it's got to be done safely, because some of these sites are grossly contaminated. So yeah, so I'd like more national recognition for this. We're not actually saying to the council that we don't want them to stop building, that we don't want houses there. We just need protections. That's it. Because we've got none. We've had a miserable summer. Absolutely miserable. We've not been able to open windows, doors. We've not been able to sit in our gardens. We've not been able to hang our washing out. And you know, with the heat wave that we've had. But it didn't even matter anyway, because I'm sure you've seen the evidence. It's been getting into our houses anyway. It's been getting in through air bricks, people's showers or windowsills. I've got an office upstairs that I haven't been able to use. I'm having to work in the kitchen because maybe the double glazing isn't as airtight as it should be. But, you know, I had to remove my equipment from up there because it was getting into the fans on my computers and basically they were singing to me. So it's bad. It really is bad. Not to mention that privacy, okay? I can look straight out of my bathroom window and and see cranes and loads of bodies on site. And the back bedrooms, I can see them and they can see me. There is no privacy. I can't even understand how this is supposed to be a scheme that is remotely considering the amenity of the local residents, as they claim, as 13 Group claimed. I'd like people to come back to me on brownfield sites that are experiencing the same. We've all gathered like tons of experience now. I think we kind of know what we're looking for. I seem to be an expert, would you believe, in particle monitoring and soot, air disbursement of soot, and VOCs. I'm getting quite proficient in VOC. That there are things now that we can look into with planning and impact assessments. We know what to check for, and I reckon there's probably a myriad of different experience levels across the country. I just think that maybe brownfield sites, we need to join. We need to join forces, just to make sure that it's done safely. Because I mean, look at Zane's law. I know it wasn't exactly the same, but it was to do with landfill and again, sort of corners being cut. Grenfell, that was corners being cut. Corby, that was corners being cut. We can't keep having situations like this where we're allowing corners to be cut when there's actually real risk to people's health. It just shouldn't be happening. And it shouldn't be harder to sue after the event than to stop them from doing it. That's wrong. So I was told that if I was as a person to go and push an injunction on strata, right? Vexatious litigation. So originally the crowdfund for 3,000 was for me to go instruct a solicitor to get an injunction to stop. Yeah, that would have been served against strata. And then I was warned by at least 3 barristers that if I was to do that, all that would happen is that they will appeal. Once you've run out of money, they will eventually get somebody to overturn, and then they're going to come after you. How is that even a thing? What protects the little person from the likes of councils and stratas of the world? That's wrong, Ed. It's just wrong. It needs to stop. If you can't do it properly, don't do it. Dismissive, disingenuous, duplicitous. I think that's it for the Ds. Lots of gaslighting. For example, we learned about a 5-metre structure that was going 11 metres from our houses. It's a retaining wall. This is what started it all off, because I was like, 5 meters? Are you mad? So that's when I started digging, because it didn't seem correct. So after, I think it was probably a good 8 weeks of arguing with planning, when he was telling me that no boundary drawings had been produced because nobody asked for them, I actually then, by chance, realised that there was a separate planning application in for that very same wall that hadn't been approved. He just hadn't told me about it. And then just little things like that. For example, one of the freedom of information requests that I've requested relates to a statutory dust notice that I registered on the 18th of June. So on the 27th of June, I'd gone to site because we had our first 2 asbestos certificates, and we wanted to warn the site that we had asbestos on our properties. Did they know the full extent of the risk? I spoke to health and safety manager, site manager, 2 strata managers, and consequently it turned out that environmental health had never contacted them. So they were surprised that I'd actually registered a dust complaint. that very same day, I get an email from Environmental to say that our apologies for coming back late. Our officers have been to site multiple times and done multiple inspections. And it's in that wording: inspections, multiple visits, further visits, and further close working with the managers at Sirius and Strata. So obviously I challenged instantly. Seems to be a bit of a misunderstanding. Please provide the dates and times of attendance. Radio silence. And then I know that they rushed to site on the Saturday, which was the 28th, because they reported to the local councillor, to Kath Pinnock. But the site was closed, but apparently they were still happy with it because it was closed. And then come Wednesday, the following week, another 3-page letter from pollution to state, well, actually, no, I must have misinterpreted. They didn't actually go on site. They monitored from a distance. Again, please supply the dates and times and where you've allegedly monitored from a distance. And yeah, that's very late. That's not come back. And then obviously I copied you into the Freedom of Information request. With the amount that I got back with an FOI request, which basically was the portal. That was it. And anything else was just heavily redacted. Just so that to me means it's a cover-up somewhere. I don't know about you. How else are you supposed to interpret it?